What's good, everybody? I want to talk a little bit about Errol Spence and his last fight against Mikey Garcia, as well as what's been going on in his career and everything like that. You know, I thought it was a hell of a fight. I thought it was a very, very good showing by Errol Spence. You know, it kind of went how I thought it was going to go and how a lot of people predicted. The bigger man won. But what I was really impressed with was how Errol Spence won. He literally showed a different style. He showed that he can box. He showed, you know, different levels and ranges to his boxing IQ. It was, he put on a boxing clinic. There was nothing that Mikey Garcia could do. I mean, everything, and Mikey Garcia has a very high boxing IQ, but for every counter or for every attempt that you saw Mikey Garcia trying to get on the inside, it wasn't just, you know, Errol Spence's jab that was keeping him at bay. It was body position, foot position, angle of the lead shoulder. He was keeping him at angles so that, for one, Mikey Garcia was always at range, whether it was a headshot or a body shot. And two, Errol was always ready to counter the counter, which, you know, to put in layman's terms, he was always ready to give either the second or third shot off of Mikey, and he was still the aggressor. I was surprised that the Garcias didn't call the fight, you know, because Mikey Garcia still has a lot of career left ahead of him. But a lot of times, when you take a beating like how Mikey took for those 12 rounds, it becomes psychological in nature, and you know, he might develop any type of, you know, negative belief system. He might, you know, you could take the gameness out of the pit bull, so to speak. You know, I saw a couple videos where Errol Spence's trainer was saying that he was yelling at him to stop the fight from his corner, and they were cussing him out, telling him, you know, F you and fuck you over there, which, you know, I just think it's stupid. I mean, after the 7th round, you could kind of tell how that fight was going to go. And, you know, honestly, Mikey made $7 million plus, you know, shoot. Nobody is going to question his heart. He actually called out Errol Spence, but sometimes when you're outclassed, you're outclassed. And I think, you know, what Mikey has to consider is that, you know, he can learn a lot from this loss. He knows now probably his maximum, or he knows what to do in training to actually push him to another level. Because honestly, I think a lot of people were thinking, because Errol Spence was such a good athlete, that he was going to use his athleticism against Mikey's IQ. But no, you know, people, you know, have said numerous times that he was able to hang, so to speak, in sparring, and we've heard other stories that he actually, you know, gave Floyd Mayweather a shiner in, you know, in sparring. You know, that takes a certain level of IQ to be able to touch up the defensive mastermind of Floyd Mayweather in sparring, whether they're using headgear or not. And I know in the doghouse they're not using that front bar like they do over at Wild Card with Manny Pacquiao. So, you know, if you get hit in the face, you're getting hit flush. You know, that's mostly for forehead shots and cheek shots. You know, I'm very, very happy that Errol Spence performed as well. You know, you could see the frustration. There was a lot of guys that were ducking him, saying he couldn't bring no money to the table. But for him to be in the upper 40,000 at AT&T Stadium in Dallas, I mean, he's definitely positioned himself very nicely as not just, I believe, the top welterweight, you know, with, you know, him being 1A and Crawford being 1B, but he's definitely the money man now. You know, some people are talking about him moving on or trying to fight Terrence Crawford. I think that fight needs to, you know, you need to let that build. Because, you know, yeah, you want to have the best fights now as a, you know, and I am a fan, but at the same time, it's like, I don't think Bob Arum's going to let that happen. And I don't think right now Terrence Crawford is ready for Errol. I think right now Errol has the strength advantage. And I think Terrence, as far as being, you know, not athleticism, but getting in that top peak condition to where he can go in and out, change angles, and use his legs for the majority of the fight with that Errol Spence pressure on him, I think he's going to have to take 2 more fights to get in that type of shape. If not, I see a fight with Errol Spence now. I see Spence wearing him down, because I don't think Terrence Crawford has faced anything, and I'm not taking anything away from Bud. I'm a really big fan of Bud. I mean, I think Bud will beat him later on. I don't think Bud beats him now. But Bud has to his body has to fully mature into that welterweight, you know, and you see still right now, Bud still has a little bit of those 140 arms, you know, right now. And Errol Spence is big. So I think, you know, he needs to take the time to get into that 147, mature into that weight class. I think it's maybe 1 to 2 more fights, and then you're going to get the matchup that everybody wants. Personally, I think a good test would be Shawn Porter, because I think Shawn will push Errol, and I know Shawn is going to touch Errol. And lately, you know, from what I've been seeing, Shawn has been fighting more of a boxer, showing more of his boxing ability these last couple fights, but I think he's doing that for a reason, to develop that, because he's going to have a plan B or C if he fights the likes of Bud or Errol Spence, and I think he's been working on that his last 2 fights. But if I was Errol Spence, I definitely would go that route and fight Shawn Porter, get that WC belt, and now you have Keith Thurman. There's nowhere to run, and there's nowhere to hide. Sooner or later, he's going to have to fight Spence, or he's going to have to fight Bud Crawford, and I think both of those guys, just based upon youth and experience, I think they beat Keith Thurman. I don't think Thurman has the dog in him anymore to really rise to that occasion. I think he wants the payday, and you can kind of see in how he's, you know, talking smack and talking shit now. You can kind of see in his eyes that, you know, just my opinion, I believe Keith Thurman is counting his fights till retirement. Honestly, you could just see it. He doesn't have that same fire that, you know, one time used to have, and you can't bring that type of attitude into a world championship fight like that, because that's going to be a huge fight, whether he fights Crawford or he fights Spence. Personally, I don't think Thurman fights Bud until later, maybe 2-3 years from now, when he's older, and you know, not Al Heyman, but Bob Arum knows that, you know, Bud can walk through him. I think Arum will make the fight then. But you know, Errol Spence and Keith Thurman both have Al Heyman as a manager, so, you know, they're both PBC fighters. So that fight should be easy to make. But to tell you the truth, it's up to Thurman. You know, Spence has been, for the last 2 years, has been calling out Keith Thurman, and I think now, you know, Thurman legitimately has to take him serious. I mean, if you're putting 47,000 in the Dallas A&T Arena, stadium, forgive me, and then you're selling, you know, upwards of 300,000 to 400,000 pay-per-view buys. I mean, honestly, you can't duck that man anymore. Not to say he was before, but he can't dismiss him as, you know, not, you know, being worthy of a fight. But I know for a fact that Shawn Porter would definitely take the fight. I know he'll take the fight. I mean, some people don't believe that he will, but where is Shawn going to go? I don't think Shawn wants to fight Keith right away right now. You know, and I know Manny Pacquiao the last couple of days, he definitely has not been, you know, has not mentioned Errol Spence, and at the fight, Errol Spence had not only called him out, but had, you know, I believe, you know, had Manny Pacquiao doing the Filipino stutter. Yeah, we can do it. Yeah. And then he's like, oh, my manager. No, Manny, you're not with Bob Arum anymore. So you got to legitimately answer the question in English now, buddy. You know, you went to the PBC for a reason. You know, you want to get the money. Spence is the money. But, you know, guys, you know, my hat's off to Errol Spence. I'm very, very happy for him. He deserves all the success that he could get. Keep working hard, Errol. You got a fan by me, and I'm going to support. Hey, guys, hit the like button and subscribe. Talk to you soon.